Joining me right now are civil rights attorneys Avery Friedman and criminal defense attorney Richard Herman. Good to see you both.
Hi, Frederick.
Okay, so Richard, you first. You know, the judge here is deciding if Cohen's team will win its fight to keep materials the FBI seized out of the prosecutor's hands. Do you expect that he might win that battle?
I think Michael Cohen's in a heap of trouble here, Fred. I mean, really serious trouble. To get warrants to break into his house and his hotel and his office and to retrieve him. They have stuff on him, Fred. This is not a fly-by-night operation. This is Southern District of New York. And the judge that there before, I've had experience with her. She basically broke a gavel when I kept making an issue on the record. She told me to shut up, basically, and I wouldn't. I mean, she's a no-nonsense judge, Harvard law student, and very, very tough and no-nonsense, Fred. And Monday, if Michael Cohen comes in there and, tries to play cute with answers or this and that, she'll hold him in contempt. She'll incarcerate him on Monday. She is nonsense. And the issue is attorney-client privilege covering these records, and was Michael Cohen really an attorney? That's the issue here, Fred. And it looks like he was not an attorney during all these the past few years, at a minimum.
Yeah, it sounds like even that representation is also being scrutinized a bit. So then, Avery, that there may be recordings. Because Michael Cohen is known to record conversations, and apparently, or at least reportedly, there are recordings between Cohen and the ex-lawyer for Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal that were also seized by this FBI raid. So talk to me about, one or two-party consent when it deals with audio recordings. If these recordings, if they did indeed seize them, are they even admissible, or would it be an issue of transcribing them to allow that information from those recordings? What would happen?
Well, there are both civil and criminal implications under federal law when you tape without consent. And I agree. Judge Kimball Wood is tough. If she's telling Richard to shut up, she's tough. And she's going to be serious unless that showdown has taken place in the next 48 hours. So some states do not require consent of both parties. Some require, if one consents, that's good enough. But in this case, both state and federal law are implicated. So starting out, putting aside the question of the deals in Kazakhstan or Prague or Stormy Daniels or Karen McDougal, right off the bat, we're dealing with the nature of those tape recordings and whether or not there was consent. So I'm in accord. I think that Michael Cohen's law firm, his team, are doing double and triple shifts right now, Frederica, because that showdown is, again, less than 48 hours away.
And there are a lot of things involving all of these parties, Richard. It's not just the issue of the affair, who was lying, et cetera, but we're talking about bank fraud, potentially. This is a criminal investigation, maybe even, financial, election financial, disclosures involved here. And when the president argues that he didn't know anything about the $130,000 payment to Stormy Daniels and that his attorney, Michael Cohen, got a home equity line of credit for that $130,000. What does this say to you about this whole, president claiming, attorney-client privilege, et cetera, when he commented, on board Air Force One way, and he's commented a different way via tweet?
That's right.
Right. It's preposterous, Fred. And Trump's got to be worried if his recordings with Michael Cohen are deemed non-attorney-client, because then they're going to be reviewed by the FBI and by investigators. But New York is a one-party consent state, Fred. So you can take somebody in New York without the consent of the other party, without even telling them you're doing it.
Wasn't
and that
all in
is
New York.
admissible in New York. Well, but his office was in New York, and allegedly that's where the recordings took place, and that's where he had them in his office. So that's what he's going to say. But it's more just the hush money and how they shut up all these people, Fred. The Prague visit, that's lying. That's the connection to Russia. That's a very bad situation for Michael Cohen, lying about this one, Fred.
We will leave it there for now, even though there is so much more to talk about. But we are going to see you again next week, at least. Avery and Richard, if not before. Thank you so much. Good to see you. Appreciate it.